Alright, let's see how well read I am. So I found this thing online. BBC's top 100 books you need to read before you die. So let's see how many I've read. It's probably less than I would expect. Alright, Pride and Prejudice, I've read that. That's probably like my favorite book of all time. Read it if you haven't. It's amazing, trust me. I've also read Jane Eyre. Also, 10 out of 10 amazing book. Well, it's a lot better than Wild Sargasso Sea in my opinion. So, yeah. Harry Potter, of course I've read that. I read it like 7 times this summer before 3rd grade, the whole series. So at one point I was a Potterhead. At one point I could like recite half the lines from the book for word. To Kill a Mockingbird, of course, I have read. Harper Lee, classic American novel. It's really good. I think it's a required week reading book in school, but I read it in like 8th grade before I had to read it in school. The Bible, I've read that. Wuthering Heights, I have read that. 1984, I have read that. Oh, the first time I read that was quite an experience. I think that was, yeah, I can still recall the ending. It's like, he loved Big Brother. Oh, I shouldn't spoil it. But yeah, okay. I have read Great Expectations, Pip, in his lovely journey, and I have read Little Women. That was a long time ago though. I must have been in like 2nd grade. Test of the D'Urbervilles, I have read. Catch 22, I have a copy of it, but I have not read the entire thing. I believe I read like the first 15 pages and then I fell asleep and then I never picked it up again. But that is on my list of books to read. And then, let's see, The Complete Works of Shakespeare. I haven't read the complete works of Shakespeare, but I've read probably about like 10 of his plays. So just check that off. Rebecca, yes, I have read that. Daphne du Maurier. It's pretty good. I think it's like the original romance novel. I think it got a little, for me, it was a bit painful to read after, I think, like the first half. But it's a good book. I would definitely recommend. Hobbit, I have not read. Kill me. I don't really read fantasy. Birdsong. Wait, have you even heard of that? What? Oh, Catcher in the Rye I read for sure. I think I read that first in 8th grade and then again like sophomore year in high school when it was required reading. I think I really hated it the first time I read it, and the second time I was able to resonate with it more. So yeah, J.D. Salinger, fantastic author, sort of reclusive, you know. Time Traveler's Wife, I have read that. I think I like bought a copy at a used bookstore a long time ago and I read it then. It's pretty good. Middlemarch, I am currently reading that right now and I have not finished, so I cannot check that off sadly. Gone with the Wind, I have read that. Margaret Mitchell, classic sort of antebellum. No, not exactly antebellum, but like the South during the Civil War. I think it's probably more famous for the movie, which I have never seen, but I think maybe a quarter of the way through the book I got really tired of Scarlett O'Hara and I was like, I cannot bear to watch her do all these ridiculous things. It's like secondhand embarrassment. But I did read through it eventually. Great Gatsby, yep, I've read that. Jay Gatsby, Daisy Buchanan, yes. And the Eyes of, what is his name? Dr. TJ something, I don't know. Bleak House, I haven't read that, sadly. Tolstoy, War and Peace. Okay, so I want to say that I've read it. I've read most of it, but I don't think I've completely finished that, so I'm not going to check it off. Okay. Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, nope. Brideshead Revisited, I have never heard of that. Grapes of Wrath, I read. That was a very long book to get through, but it was pretty good. Steinbeck. Dostoevsky, Crime and Punishment. Oh, I think I read this during summer before 9th grade, like during summer school or something. Yeah. I feel like that's one of the books I didn't read the whole thing. I should probably finish it at some point, so I can't check that off because I haven't actually finished it. Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, I have not read. Wind in the Willows, I have read that. I think I read it in probably elementary school at some point. Pretty classic book, worth a read. It's probably more of a kid's book though. Anna Karenina, of course I have read that. Oh, Anna Karenina. Okay, Chronicles of Narnia. I've read Lion, Witch, and Wardrobe and like 2 of the other ones, but I haven't read every single book in the Chronicles of Narnia, but I'll still count that, right? Anyway, C.S. Lewis is great. I've read most of his other works, his non-fiction works, also Screwtape Letters, Mere Christianity, Surprised by Joy. Those are some amazing books, some of my favorite books, but I have not read the entire Chronicles of Narnia, but I've read most of it, so I'll check it off. And then Emma, Persuasion. I've read pretty much everything written by Jane Austen, so Emma and Persuasion are great. Emma and Persuasion are really good, honestly. Anything Jane Austen writes is good. I think Emma is particularly resonant for modern day readers. Persuasion is, a standard second chance romance, but it's not as like trope laden and trite as modern day ones. The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho, I have read that. I read it in when I was 13 or 14, I think. So it's The Alchemist. That's a really good book. I think it has a lot of sort of like interesting sage philosophy-ish. I don't know, but nothing super deep. Kite Runner I have not read. Captain Corelli's Mandolin. I have not even heard of that. Memoirs of a Geisha. I have read that. Amazing book. I think it's just very poignant, raw, emotionally wrenching, and really interesting. Winnie the Pooh. I don't think I've ever read that, actually. And, okay, next page. That was page 1 of 3. Animal Farm, of course, classic George Orwell. Talking about the Russian Revolution, Da Vinci Code. Unfortunately, I have read that. Now I see it as, there's riddled with inaccuracies and sort of mass market popular books. But when I read it, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was really good. Also, I was like 9 years old, so it's probably a bit inappropriate for me to read at that time. But, whatever. I've read like 5 Dan Brown books. Anyway. 100 Years of Solitude, yes, I've read that, and yes, I was extremely confused when reading it, because why do all the characters have the same name? It's a good book, but it takes some effort to read. Okay, John Irving, A Prayer for Owen Meany, I have not read that. Woman in White, I have not read that. Anne of Green Gables, Ellen Montgomery, yes, one of my favorite books of all time, well, at least my favorite book when I was in elementary school. Because yes, Anne of Green Gables. I just love her character. She's amazing. And then there's the rest of the series too. But Anne of Green Gables is by far the best. Anne of Avonlea is pretty decent. And then from there, I think not as good, at least to an elementary school girl. But maybe that's because I couldn't really relate to it as much because past like Anne of Avonlea, it's Anne as an adult for the most part. So yeah. I have not read Far from the Madding Crowd. Handmaid's Tale I have read. Margaret Atwood. I think everyone should give that a read. Lord of the Flies. I have read it. I have interesting opinions about Lord of the Flies. It's probably one of my least favorite books. Not because it's badly written, just because I really did not enjoy reading it. I think it's well written. I think some of Golding's other works are good. I just did not enjoy Lord of the Flies. There's some trauma associated with that. Anyway. Ian McEwan, Atonement. I've not read that. Life of Pi, yes, I remember reading that. I read that the same day I read Animal Farm. It was like at night. Dune, no, I've not read that. Cold Comfort Farm, I have not read that. I should probably read these at some point. Sense and Sensibility, of course I've read. Sense and Sensibility is an amazing book. Tale of Two Sisters. Sense and Sensibility. Eleanor and Marianne. I think that's probably one of Jane Austen's best works, and I think it was made into a movie in like 1995 by An Lee, is like Lee En, is a Taiwanese director. It's really well done. I watched it. Okay, Tale of Two Cities I have read. Brave New World I have read. Actually, I really liked Brave New World. I actually thought Brave New World was better than 1984, and I can draw a lot of parallels between Brave New World and modern day society. Curious Instead of the Dog in Nighttime. I've seen this book a million times, but I have not read it. Love in the Time of Cholera I have read. Gabriel Garcia Marquez. I like this more than 100 Years of Solitude, to be honest. Of Mice and Men. This is like a short book, and it's Steinbeck, but I have not read it, which is really depressing, because I feel like everyone's read this, and this is like the one book I haven't read. I also haven't read Lolita, which I feel like it's also a common book that everyone's read. Secret History I have read. Have to say it wasn't one of my favorite books, but Donna Tartt is pretty great, and I think I like some of her other books slightly more. Count of Monte Cristo, legendary. Dumas, of course. Midnight's Children, Solomon Rushdie. I actually have not read that, but I think I know the gist of the plot. Moby Dick. Yeah. I've read, like, half of it. I haven't read the whole thing. I should read the whole thing at some point, but I'm too lazy to, so, yeah. Oliver Twist, yep. Dracula. Actually, I've not read Dracula. Secret Garden, Bill Bryson, Notes from a Small Island. Oh, I haven't heard of that one. I've read some of Bill Bryson's other books, like The Body, and this one's like The Short History of Nearly Everything, I think. Ulysses. I wish I could say I've read it, but I think I've read like a few pages of it, but I haven't read the whole thing. I also don't actually have a copy of it. But that's definitely on my list of books to read. The Bell Jar. Sylvia Plath, one of my favorite books. 100% recommend. It's so good. Also, all her poetry is great too. I like borrowed a volume of her poetry from the library and read every single poem. Okay, and I haven't read any of these, but I wish I had. Okay, A Christmas Carol. Yeah, of course I've read that. Cloud Atlas, David Mitchell. Oh, that's such a famous book. I have not read it. Alice Walker, The Color Purple. I know this is a classic, but I literally have it on my shelf, and I read like 10 pages of it, and I just could not make myself finish it. So, yeah. I'm sure it's a great book, though. Madame Bovary, again, that's another book that I have a copy of it, but I haven't read it. Charlotte's Web, of course, I think I read it in like 1st or 2nd grade. Great book for an elementary school student, and for others as well. 5 People I Meet in Heaven. I haven't even heard of that. Okay, Adventures of Sherlock Holmes. I've not read that. Now I read that. Oh, Heart of Darkness I have read. About the Congo. Little Prince, yes. Watership Down, yes. Confederacy of Dunces. I have a copy of this. I need to read it. Have not read it yet. Okay, Three Musketeers. I also have not read, but I should read it. Clockwork Orange, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, of course I've read. Classic novel. It's like another like 1st grade, 2nd grade book. I think my brother really liked that book. Okay, and then finally Les Mis. Okay, Les Mis. I've watched the movie. I've read most of the book, but I don't think I've read the whole 1,200 page behemoth. I've probably read maybe 800 pages of it, so I'm going to tentatively check that box. Okay, show my results. I got 47 out of 100, which is better than 89% of the users on this list. You beat the average score of 32. Okay, cool. I did better than 89% of users on the list. How many? I think I need to add all the other books that I didn't get on this list to my TBR, and I shall read them. So, yeah. I wonder what the average age of someone doing this is. Anyway, okay, that's it. Which of these books have you read? Which of these books that I haven't read do you recommend that I read? Let me know.